G'day everyone, how's it going? Great seeing everyone again. G'day Jordan.
I have a question about what we're going to learn today.
Yep, what's your question?
What are we going to learn?
What we're going to learn about inputs and functions.
Yes, Andy has taught me that.
Cool.
So I may be a little ahead, sorry.
All right, no problem. That's great. Great to hear, Jordan. Hello, Alex, Chris. All right, yeah, Sanya Long. Hello, Jerry. Jonathan. G'day, everybody. Welcome to the stream. It's our third lesson, second last lesson for the beginners Python course, okay? And we only have a minute before we get started, but does anybody have questions from yesterday's class? So if you have any questions from yesterday's class, now is the time, okay? If you haven't sent me your file from yesterday, then see if you can get that file zipped up and sent to me, okay? Because then I'll be able to help you in case you have any issues. Yeah, I'll be checking yesterday's work very soon as well, okay? All right. Just waiting on a couple more people to arrive. Sending a message to some people who are not here yet. Hi, Jonathan. Hello. Hey, Chris. Great seeing you as well. All right. So today we're going to learn a little bit about different types of data. Okay. Imagine if I have asked you to make me something. Okay. Imagine I'm asking you to build me something that holds water. Okay. That's my I tell you, I say, Jerry, I need you to make me something that holds water. Okay. Or I went to you, I said, Yolanda, I need you to make me something that holds water. What would be the first question you would ask me? If I said, go make me something that holds water, what would you ask me after that, Chris?
Why?
Why? I don't think that would be the very first question, but that's a good question. Why is good to start with. What else can we ask? What would you ask me? I just told you, make me something that holds water. And then what would you say, Yolanda?
How much water?
How much water? That's the big question, right? Am I saying to hold a cup of water, a bucket of water, a spa full of water, a swimming pool of water? How much water do you need, right? And that determines what you are going to build. Okay, does it make are you going to build a fish tank to hold a fish tank's worth of water, or are you going to build a bathtub or a swimming pool that holds the water, right? Or a lake, right? So when we tell Python that you need to store some data, Python will create a container for it. Okay, if I said that we're going to create a number, then Python will create a data type especially made for numbers. The same thing happens if I ask Python to create a string. Remember when we were printing words before, like literal strings? Strings are dealt very differently to numbers, and numbers are dealt very differently to other data types, like lists, like floats, like tuples. There's all sorts of other kinds of data. And the reason that computer needs you to say what kind of data it is because it is reserving parts of its brain to get ready to store your data. Okay. A number can hold a very fixed amount of information. Okay, so for example, if I told Python that that x is equal to 5, for example, x is equal to 5, let's say, Python would say, okay, if x is equal to 5, I'm going to assume that you want x to be a number. Then Python in the background is going to say, okay, guys, x is going to be a number, so let's get ready to do number related stuff on x. What kind of number related stuff? Adding, subtracting, multiplying, putting decimal points on it. That's number stuff, right? And Python needs to know that this is a number in order to get that stuff ready, in order to create a container to hold a number. If I said x is not a number, but x is a word, then Python is going to go, whoa, everybody, hang on, hold your horses. We don't need to do any addition on this. We don't need to do any subtraction on this. We don't need to do multiplication and division on this, because this is a word. We need to put all the other stuff away and then bring in the stuff that words are going to use. Things like alphabetical order, sorting, right? Things like making them capital letters and lowercase letters. Okay, so Python is creating these containers all the time. Every time we say to create a variable. Okay, so when we create a variable, Python is going to automatically create containers that hold that information. The reason is because computers are not limitless. They do not have an infinite amount of memory. If they said to, for every part of information that you give it, that it's going to get ready, okay, let's get ready to add and subtract and stuff for numbers, and also get ready to spell things in alphabetical order and get ready to change it in uppercase and lowercase, then it's going to run out of memory really quickly. So computers need to know your data type. And that's what we're going to start off with today, okay? So if you start a new file, I want you to save it and call it data types and functions, okay? So this is how I'm going to create the screen. This is from yesterday. Just going to create a new file. And then it doesn't matter if your idle doesn't have the stuff from yesterday, because it's just yesterday's stuff, right? We don't need it. So as long as you saved your Python file, that's the most important thing. Let's go save as, and then I want you to save this file called data types and functions. Data types and functions. Or as Dean, you can ask your parents to email me if you want the video, okay? Data types and functions, and click save. Okay. Data types. Here we are going to give the brief information. Python needs all variables to have a data type to save memory, okay? This is really important because we talked about why we need different data types. It's because we can't, computers' memory is not limitless. It's not infinite. We need to make sure that it handles its information correctly, okay? When I say x equals 5, 5 is called an integer or int, okay? These are whole numbers, okay? So integers are whole numbers, and inside Python, the representation for of an integer is int. Okay. So if I wanted to find out what the data type is of X, then I can do something like this, print type X. Okay. When I say print type X, type is what is going to tell you this. It says class int, which means that it is an integer. Okay. The type method returns the data type of a variable. Okay, so you put whatever you want to check inside the type brackets, and that's going to give you the data type of the variable. Okay, I know it's getting a little bit faster today because we are going through Python a little bit. We're a little bit more familiar with Python. But raise your hand if I'm going too quickly and you need me to pause or talk about something else. Okay, Jordan.
You're going a little bit too quick, and I don't understand why does it say class int?
Why the what? Sorry.
Why doesn't it say class? Why does it say class int?
So it says class int because the type method. But we're printing the type of X. That's what we're doing. So it's telling you the data type of X is an integer. And that's why it says class int. So that is why we are doing it this, because we need to know our variables data types. Because if we don't know the data types, then we can cause issues down the track. All right, if I said Y equals 3.5, this is a kind of number called a float. 3.5 is called a float. These are numbers with decimal points. Okay. And you can check the type of Y by doing the same thing. You can go print type Y. And then that should come out with float. And then finally, we have another data type that we worked with on our first day. We go Z equals apple. And then apple, we put it in quotation marks. These could be single quotation marks or double quotation marks. Apple with quotation marks is called a string. These are literal words. And then string is in Python is denoted with str. Okay, so we can go print type of Z, and that should come up with str. Jordan.
Why is there so many different ones?
Excellent. That's a good question, Jordan.
Yet somehow they have yet somehow they only do numbers and and literal words.
That's great. That's great, Jordan. That's a good idea. So remember when I asked you before, if I wanted you to hold some water, what do you build, right? So if I said that I only have a small amount of water, then you're not going to build me a swimming pool, right? Because if you build me a swimming pool, that's too much of a container. The container is too big to hold just a cup full of water, right? That's the reason why we need Python. Python needs to know your data type, because each kind of data takes a different amount of memory. And if I didn't have these data types, then it will have to build a swimming pool for every single bit of data, even if your data is only a cup full of water, right? And that's not going to work because a computer has limited resources. It doesn't have an infinite amount of resources. So that is why we need all these different types of data to handle different types of information, okay? That is a great question. And that's why we need to think about the water, the cups of water. For example, an integer, why is it that we can't just have one type of number? Why can't we just have everything with decimal points? Why can't we just call everything floats? It's the same thing as an integer. It just has a dot in it. Well, we can't, because when you add a dot, then it changes the amount of the numbers that you can count up to. Just like on your calculator. If your calculator has 8 spaces on the screen and then you put a dot somewhere, all of a sudden you can't count up to the highest number, right? That's the same thing in Python. That's why if you're doing an integer, you're counting whole numbers, you need to tell Python that it is an integer. And if you're counting in some small numbers with, and you need to be really precise, then you need to say that it is a float. And then if you are typing a word that isn't a number, then you need to tell Python that it is a string. Okay. So floats, integers, and strings are going to be your very most basic data types. Everybody should be very, very used to all these data types, okay? So let me ask each person. I'm going to tell you what different, ask you what different data types are, and then see if you can answer me, okay? So I'm going to go, Yolanda, your variable is fruit. Alex, your variable is 5.3. Alex Wu, you're equal to 5. Chris, you're equal to Cap. Dan, you're equal to this 40. Dean Chen. Dean, you are equal to 5. Felix, you're equal to 6.0. And then let's, I'll do the rest of you for some other challenges, okay? All right, Yolanda, what is your variable? What kind of data type are you?
String.
You're a string, excellent. And you know it's a string because you got quotation marks around it. That's great. All right, Alex, what kind of data do you think you are?
A float.
Float, good. And you know you're a float because you have a decimal point. Very good. Alex Wu, what kind of number are you? I mean, what kind of data type are you?
I don't know.
You don't know? Have a guess. Alex Wu, what do you think 5 is?
Apple.
Apple? No, so your data type, number 5 is an integer, okay? Chris, what is your data type?
I am a string.
You're a string, excellent. Okay, now Dan, this one's going to be tricky. Dan, what do you think your data type is?
Integer.
Integer. It's actually a string because we put quotation marks around it. And quotation marks are going to say that this is a literal text of 40, not an integer, okay? So this was a trick question, okay? But good work, Dan, in paying attention. So this is actually a string because we put quotation marks around it. We've told Python that we're not treating this as a number, we're treating this as a word, okay? Dean, what's your data type?
String.
String, good. Even if I spell out the number 5, this is still a string because I put quotation marks around it. And then Felix, you probably have the hardest one. Felix, tell me, what kind of data type are you?
A float.
Float, excellent work, Felix. It's a float because even though it is a whole number, we put a decimal point in there, which means that it is a float, okay? Even if it is a whole number, if I have a decimal point in it, it is a float, okay? All the above examples are implicitly cast, okay? What does implicit mean? Who's really good with English? Who wants to tell us what does implicit mean? Jordan.
Let me have a think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have a think about it, Jordan. Sorry, I just saw your hand up, so I thought you wanted to answer. Felix, tell us, what does implicit mean?
Indirect or something.
Indirect. Fantastic. Indirect. It means that I am not saying exactly what you are. So implicitly cast. I'm going to put this in big words, okay? Implicitly cast. Implicitly cast. Casting is what we do to tell Python what type of data each variable is, okay? Imagine if I'm casting for a school play, okay? Imagine I'm casting for a school play, but instead of casting for a school play, we are telling the Python and telling the computer what type of data each variable is. So I'm casting, just like a school play, right? But imagine if you went up to your school play and then your teacher doesn't tell you what is your role. They just say, here, have a wig. Well, then she's implicitly telling you that you are cast as an actor, right? Because she's not telling you exactly what you are acting as. She just gave you something to implicitly say that you are an actor, but she's not telling you that you're an actor, right? Same with if the teacher comes up to you and gives you a big light, okay? A light to hold on to, okay? Then if she gives you a light, then you probably implicitly cast as someone who's controlling the lights. If she gets you and she goes, okay, Dan, you sit down over here in front of a computer, she's implicitly casting you as someone who's controlling the computer system, right? So all these are implicitly cast, which means that we are saying that Yolanda is equal to fruit and Alex Wu is equal to number 5. We are telling Python that these are integers and floats and strings without telling Python exactly that you are floats or strings, okay? So in order to be more accurate, we can do a second method called explicitly casting, okay? So we can also explicitly cast our variables, okay? When we explicitly cast our variables, we tell Python exactly what type of data we need to be, Okay. So in order for that to happen, I'm going to start working with these. Sorry, we got two Isaacs again. Sorry, I forgot your English name. What are your English names again?
Ines,
Ines and
Isaac.
Ines and Isaac. Okay, gotcha. Sorry about that. All right. Ines, you're equal to str 50. Isaac, you're equal to int 3.5. Jerry, you're equal to float 10. Jonathan, you're equal to str cat. Jordan, you're equal to int 3.0. Shirley, you're equal to float 5. Okay. So to explicitly cast something, so you can keep typing all these out. This is a different way of casting, right? Instead of telling Python a value and then having it guess what your casting is, we can just put the shortcut of the data type as a method and then put in brackets the value. And what that does is that Python will force itself to turn that value into your data type. Okay. So for example, if I said K equals str 50, the data in here, 50, is an integer normally. But what I've done is I've forced it to turn itself into a string. Okay, this is called implicitly casting. I mean, explicitly casting. This is explicitly turning an int into a string. Yes, Jordan.
What if it's like all wrong?
What do you mean all wrong?
For example, I put like roll equals equals int cat.
If you put int cat, then it's going to throw an error because the int can only turn certain things into an int. But that's an excellent question, right? It will force whatever it can to turn it into the data type that it needs to, if it is possible, right? But what this does is that it eliminates the ambiguity of your code. So up the top here, sometimes we're not sure, it might be a float, it might be a string, it might be an int. We'll have to sort of guess, right? But down here is different. If I try to print K after I've explicitly casted it as a string, guess what happens? If I go print K and then I run it, whoops, invalid syntax. Okay, that's because I've got spaces in your names. If I try to print K, I'd come up with 50. But if I try to print the K's type, then it would tell you that it is 50, but it is not a whole number. It is actually a string, right? Which means that if I try to add things onto K, it's going to not work. It's going to think that it is a word, not a number. Okay. So this is what explicitly turning things into a data type means. And this is going to be important for our next activity when we're talking about inputs, okay? Yes, Yolanda.
When I tried to run my when I tried to run it, it said invalid syntax.
That must be what I had before. So if you put Alex Wu, you have to remove the space in between. So we can't have a space between the
I highlighted red for the
what, sorry?
I did it without a space and it's still saying invalid syntax.
What is it highlighting?
It highlighted the mark before 5.
The quotation mark?
Yeah.
Did you close the quotation mark?
Yes, I did.
Did you have did you close the quotation mark for 40 up on top of it as well?
Yeah.
And you've got the equal signs on the side?
Oh, never mind. I forgot the equal signs.
Oh, okay. All right, so let's start with Ines and Isaac. Ines, what kind of data is your variable?
Mine is, but is it like an explicitly?
Yep, it's an explicitly casted. What do you think it is? What is it? A float, an integer, or a string? Do you reckon?
Is it a string?
That's right. It's a string because we have forced it to turn whatever is inside this bracket into a string. See, we've told it that it needs to be a string. Very good. Isaac, what's your variable? You there, Isaac? Ines, do you want to check on Isaac to make sure he's unmuted?
Yeah.
Jerry, what kind of data are you?
Dog.
What are you talking about? Your data here. Jerry equals float 10. What kind of data type are you?
Cups.
Are you okay there, Jerry?
Can you not hear me?
I can hear you, but you said cups.
Cuts. I said cups.
So Jerry equals
No,
float 10.
is that not?
So Jerry equals float 10. What kind of data type are you? Are you a string, an integer, or a float?
I'm a float.
You're a float, right? Yeah, exactly. So your data type is a float because we have explicitly cast 10 as a float. Jonathan, what kind of data type are you?
My data type, I explicit cap into a float.
No, it's not a float. It's a string. See, it says str. Okay, so your data type is whatever if we explicitly cast it, we tell it to turn it into the string data type here. See, because we have str. Jordan, what kind of data type do you think your one is?
Mine is supposed to be a float.
But it's costed as what?
Is costed as an int.
That's right. So we've turned it into
So
a,
it'll just be regular 3.
that's right. It will remove the decimal point. Shirley, what kind of number, I mean, what kind of data is your variable here? Hey, Shirley, you there? Ah, float. Yep, good work. So you've typed out on your chat. So your microphone's not working. Okay. So for Isaac's version here, it is also an integer. So it's forcing the decimal to be an integer. Okay. Now this is going to be important because if you don't understand why our data is a different type, then you won't be able to get how some errors happen, right? A lot of people will get errors and then you'll be like, oh, this is kind of strange. I don't know. I don't understand why these are happening, but you need to understand your data types. Otherwise it's not going to work. All right. So let's do an experiment. Let's build an age checker. Okay. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to create a program where if the user's age is under 12, they are a child. If it's under 20, they are a teenager. Oh, actually, under 18. Under 18, they are a teenager. And then more than or equal to 18, they are an adult. Okay. But we want to make it so that we are going to use a method called an input. Okay. So for an input, that means that we can start typing on this screen. Okay. Jordan, you have a question?
I have a question about, I know about input, but how do I like keep this? How do I keep the same data and give it to do I have to make it a variable?
Keep the same what, sorry?
Keep the same data that has been gotten from the input.
Yeah, I mean, once you've created a variable, then the variable will stay forever until you close the program. I'll show you exactly how it works, okay? So let's have a look at this. Okay. Is everybody okay with their typing? I'll give everybody a minute to make sure that they're finished typing. I think a few people are still catching up. Okay, Jonathan's done. Good. So now we're going to show you how to make it so that people can type something into the Python shell to answer questions. Okay. So first of all, we'll go user name equals, and then normally we would put down the person's name here, right? And this name would normally be what kind of data type? What kind of data type would a name usually be, Alex?
The
You think it's
string?
yeah, very good, Alex. Fantastic. I like the spot checks are really good. So it's going to be a string. Normally I would say like username equals Bob, right? Or something like that. But I want the person who's using the computer to write their name in. So instead of putting a fixed name, I'm going to go input, open bracket, and then I'm going to put in quotation marks. What is your name? Close quotation marks, close bracket. And what this will do is when you run this, it would come up with a question. What is your name? And then you can type in your answer here. Okay. So this is called an input. At the moment, it doesn't matter what to type in there because it's not going to do much. It's just going to ask you what's your name. And then when you type in whatever your name is, you press enter. That's the end of the code. But we're going to add a few things. Jordan.
I think I've gotten the wait. I put my hand up.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to. Sorry.
No worries, Jordan. All right. So the computer is going to ask, what is your name? And then after you've typed your name, we want the computer to say, hello, whatever your name is. So we just go print, hello, and then close the quotation marks and then comma, username. And notice that my username is not in quotation marks because it's not literal. Where we want the variable of username. So if I say, what's your name? And I say Iron Man, I press enter, and then it says, hello, Iron Man. Okay, now we're starting to do something cool. Now it's starting to get a bit fun. And then we want the computer to ask, what is your age? So we'll go age equals input, what is your age? How old is Iron Man? I don't know, maybe maybe in his 40s or 50s. I don't know how old Iron Man is. Jordan.
I've gotten a code running, but I don't see a problem. But it keeps saying syntax error. I put username equals input. What is your name? Then I put age equals int. Int, what age are you?
So
And then
age has to be input, not int.
Yeah, I put input. Then age equals int.
So that has to be input as well.
That also.
Yeah, because input means that the computer is asking you for this value.
I know. I've put int.
Input, not int. Input.
Age equals input. What age are you?
Yep, that's right.
And then I put another line saying age equals int. Age.
And then you have age equals
No. But the problem is when I put like if age is under or equal to 12, print hello. But I can't put the username, but the U in username doesn't, it just is red.
If you and username's red, maybe you haven't closed the quotation marks, or you don't have a comma. Good.
Every single time I thought.
Good work, Jordan. Finding the errors. Jonathan.
However, when I run my code, it doesn't actually print hello whoever. I've done all the same things as you, but it doesn't.
What does it say? What does it print instead? Does it just print hello?
It doesn't print anything. All it said is the one before, what is your name?
What is your name? Did you type in your name?
No, but I don't know.
So you have to type in your name when it asks you for your name here in the console.
How do you
Watch
do
this.
that?
Watch this. Watch this. Are you watching my hand?
Yes.
Okay, watch. I run the code. Whoops. When I run the code, I move my hand over to the console here and it says, what's my name? And then I type in Gary. And then I press enter. And then it says, hello, Gary. And then it says, what's your age? And then I put in 21. And then you press enter again. Okay, have a look at that, Jonathan. Felix, how are you doing?
It said that in my code is invalid syntax.
Invalid syntax, where is it highlighting?
It's highlighting the A in age.
If it's highlighting the A and H, then check the print line beforehand. You probably haven't closed.
Close the brackets.
Good, very good. Yeah, sometimes it will highlight, but then you don't check the line that it's highlighting, you check the line before it. Shirley, how are you going? It says invalid syntax. Whereabouts is the invalid syntax happening? The Y in Yolanda. Oh, the Y in Yolanda, that's ages before. Haven't you got that working before? If you're all the way up here, I suggest you check the line before it, the print type Z, and then the brackets. And you deleted it. Okay. Yeah, it's not highlighted. It's highlighting this not because this is wrong. It's because something is wrong before it. If it highlights the Y in Yolanda, it's not this line that's wrong. It's the lines before it. Then it highlighted the K. Yeah, that's because you got to keep checking all the code before it. But if it's the K, that means that the lines before it are wrong. Something is wrong before it. Yeah, if you deleted all this and it's still highlighting the K, that means something is still wrong up before it. Can't find what's wrong. If you can't find what's wrong at this stage, you can do a block comment of everything before K, and then we can deal with it later. You can send me your code later. Block comment is double quotation marks before and after the comment. Okay. So yeah, just block it all out. Jordan, you have a question?
I've done everything. I've fixed my mistakes. Yet somehow in my print hello like username, one of the quotation marks are apparently highlighted in red.
One of the quotation marks on the hello?
No, you are a kid. Those quotation marks.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So these are just comments. These are all comments.
No. I did one that I did it. I said if age is less or equal to 12, print hello username.
Okay.
But then when I put the brackets, just as I separated the username, it gets red.
Yep. We'll have to deal with that in a moment. Okay. So watch this. So after you have entered your age, we need Python to print out your if you are a child, a teenager, or an adult. So to do that, we do this. Age is already set as your age, right? So now we do our conditions. Remember how we did conditions in the first day? So we go, if age is less than 12, then we print you are a child. Elif age is less than or equal to less than 18, print you are a teenager. And then finally, else, make sure you get the indentations exactly right? They have to be exactly right. Print you are an adult. Okay. But here, after you've typed this all correctly, it's still going to give you an error. And I want someone to explain to me why there is an error here. Jordan.
Well, first, your age. If they say like, what is your age? They'll think it's like I'm pretty sure they'll say it's like a string.
Good.
But we're looking for integers. So put it age equals int brackets age.
Great. Age equals int brackets age. So you need to go. That's a good solution as well. But that needs another line. So I'll show you another way you can do it. Okay. Excellent work, Jordan. You have identified the problem. So when you type out words into the console to respond to inputs, it always comes out as a string because the Python program doesn't know if you're going to type in a number or a word or a string or whatever, right? It has to say it is a string. It can't predict if you're going to type a number or not. But because you've typed in a number and it's expecting a string, you need to cast it explicitly as a number. So to do that, we go into age equals input. What is your age? And then you put in here an int method to surround your input. And that is going to solve your issue because this is explicitly casting everything in here as an integer. Okay, and that's really important in order to get this program to work. So if you run it, it says, what's your name? I'm going to say Bob. Hello, Bob. What is your age? I'm going to say 15. Press enter. It says you are a teenager. Okay. And then if you got this working, then congratulations. This is a very big step towards you becoming a Python programmer. Yes, Jordan.
I did it. I did exactly what you did.
Is it working?
No.
It's not working. Then what's wrong?
I don't know. It's the same thing. It's about
What's the error? Can you tell me what the error says?
the error says it's the quotation marks.
Which quotation marks?
And you are a child, the first one.
That means that the line before it is probably wrong. The if age is less than 12, colon, you probably have missed something.
I'll just redo it and just follow your way.
Dan's got his working. Nice job, Dan. Jonathan Dang, you have a less than sign that says invalid syntax, and make sure that you have double spelled age the same way for everything, and also check the lines before the error. Okay, if it says invalid syntax on the less than, then check that line. If it's okay, check the lines before. What kind of error, Shirley? Name username is not defined. That means you haven't spelled username the same way you spelled username here. So username here equals input. What is your name? You didn't spell it the same way as username here. If you have a colon, invalid syntax, check the line that it's on and check the line before it. Jonathan, I thought yours was working, wasn't it? Oh no, that was Dan. All right, everybody who is still getting errors, make sure you zip your file and then email it to me so I can help you check it, okay? All right, Shirley, solved it. Very good. Or you can send me your error and we can talk about how we can fix it. Jordan, how are you doing?
I'm still typing, but I'm just wondering if you have like private lessons.
Yeah, we do, but yeah, we can talk about that later. Ask your parents to email me, okay? If you you can email to me if it doesn't work, yes. But make sure you try it out first. And what I can do is I'll give you some advice, or I can send you my code as well. Make sure you talk to your parents though. Yep, because we need your parents. If it's working, you don't need to send it to me. Yeah. If it's working, you don't have to send it to me. But you can if you want. Have we got any questions? Is anyone still dealing with errors that are big and scary? So if you're still getting errors, make sure that you look at the indentations of my code. It is very specific. Never ever use spaces for indentations. Always use the tab key. Yeah, so which column are you getting your error on, Jonathan? Is it the colon on 18 or colon on 20? I mean on 12 or on the else? Line 47, I don't know what your line 47 is. It's mine's different to yours. You have to tell me where it is on the code. If you want to turn on your line number, you go into options and then you go show line numbers. Then you can see your line numbers because it's if age is less than 12. Okay, so if you have a syntax error here, make sure you spelled all this correctly. And then if it is, then check the line before it. Something is wrong there. So your age equals int, open bracket, input, open bracket, open quotation marks. What is your age? Close quotation mark, close bracket, close bracket. Yep. So yeah. So, but that's where the error is. Monday and Tuesday's work. I've checked your Monday's work, but I haven't checked your Tuesday's work. So I'll be sending you feedback after that, Isaac and Ness, and also everybody else who sent me files. Jordan.
I just wanted to say I got my up and running my new one, but my old one I'm gonna send to you my old one. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Doesn't work.
That's okay. Thanks very much for that, Jordan. Okay, guys. Well, you edited your quotations, but underscore. So Jonathan, it sounds like you need to send me your code. I think, Jonathan, you need to make sure you zip it up before you send it to me, because you can't just send a Python file over email. It won't work. You have to ask your parents to help zip it up and then send, because if you just send a Python file over email, you'll probably get blocked. Okay. All right, guys, that's it for today. I will see you guys tomorrow for our final lesson. We didn't get to functions today, but we'll do functions tomorrow. Okay. So take care. If you have any questions, email me. See you later. Bye. Bye. Bye, Dan.